Sean and I were also working on a Spanish project together. We were having so much fun with it, and it just shows, like, I don't know, through the years we stay together to be school partners.
That's great. Okay, so on the other side, are there any things that you wish would be different, or that you would want more out of the ELP program? You know, just for my own benefit, if I'm creating a program in Lake Mills, anything you would suggest to change or?
As many means as possible. Like, for me, there are different levels with kids, and that's just one, I guess. But I almost wish it'd be like they don't just put you with kids at your own level kind of thing, so you are getting smarter and with other people who are doing the same things. You're not in a group project where you're always looking for.
So like not just in math accelerates naturally, but like in the language arts class to all be in that, or in a science class to all be.
I think that definitely, yeah, because when you think like in middle school and it's like science classes, there are like when you're in classes that multiple of you take kids are in, that definitely just automatically pushes you like, oh, well these 3 other kids are sitting at me and what are their test scores going to be like? That just
have
like
that
internal,
natural
instead
push
of,
to do your best.
yeah.
Well, I'll kind of ask your opinion on that. That's what I'm doing my research project on, is something called a cluster classroom. So it'd be like a 4th, 5th grade classroom, and it would be kind of grouping all of those tag kids together. And you know, it wouldn't be like a trackie, like every year you're with these kids, but just for that 1 year you would get that boost of, you know, a week-long assignment that might have taken you in the classroom next to you. Maybe this class does it in 3 days. And you just are working on things at your level, and once you're done with it, you can move on to the next thing or dig into something deeper. You know, what would be your opinion? It's probably hard to think back when you were in elementary, but you know, what do you think about that?
I feel old to say it, but like you definitely learn from those annoying experiences.
Yeah.
Like in life, you're not always gonna just get to be with those people, and you have to learn how to work with them. So getting to do that on a younger level is definitely just where you. So I guess maybe middle school wise, that would be a better place for it. Yeah.
Middle school.
Yeah, middle school you're like all over the place with the motivation and education and all that. It's just
Middle schoolers are a completely different subculture of the human race.
Yeah.
Learning and
Nothing
sharing and
the greatest.
And being in the high school and looking back down at the middle school is like, I used to do that.
yeah, I know. No, and normally it's like I hope I didn't do that.
most likely you did, and you thought it was funny.
Yeah. Right. Yeah.
Do they not know how to walk on the right side of the hallway?
You know, as a kindergarten teacher, I look at the middle school thinking, why am I doing all this work to make them behave, do the right thing when they're just gonna,
Free for all.
they're gonna be a 13, 14-year-old anyway. Oh, let's see, what else? Oh, that's really good thoughts. Well, you kind of talked about in elementary it helped you prepare for middle school. How do you think, you know, now that your next step after high school is college, how do you think the whole ELP experience has helped you for that step?
Or even spinning it to what can we do to help make you more prepared, or that for the next step. Necessarily what.
Are you the only ELP person in the school?
Yes, I'm hoping Mr. Wiedemeyer picks up some next year.
Okay.
Yes.
So if there became 2 of you in the school, it'd be if we could like have more high school opportunities for it. I mean, high school schedules are so full and it's hard anyway. So the scheduling part's hard, but definitely just to come back and be able to still have those, not necessarily, I don't know, somehow fit in your schedule. Yeah.
Like the discussion part of it, or would you like, you know, more project or the competition parts of it?
Just meeting. Like we have our AAs once a week where you're with all the kids in your grade, or like 15 of them, and so then you can go back and it's just 20 minutes to, some of it's guidance lesson, but it's just like being able to discuss, what's happening in our grade, what's happening at school, like, you just talk about it, where like, being able to meet with your take level kids, right now, especially like college classes and stuff, you're all taking about the same stuff, so they're just like, talk about it, relax, just like, that part of it's nice. I don't know if I want more work right now.
Yeah,
That's what I was, yeah, 'cause you're doing your stuff to
Yeah.
get yourself ready.
So the motivation factor of it, definitely.
Just the camaraderie and
Yeah.
being able to relate
Yeah.
things that are going on. That's why I think this is awesome. Let's hang out and have pizza before school.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, we definitely need to implement it more often.
Yeah.
And before school is always easiest because when it's not marching band season, my
Mhm.
mornings are pretty much empty. Besides weights, obviously, but that's
So impressive.
And I'm
That's
sure
what we're
everybody's
saying.
involved in
Yeah.
speech and
Yes.
That's just it, because
Sports
in a
and-
small school, and you experience the same thing in Lake Mills. Your band kids are your athletes, are your speech kids, are your kids that are involved in their church outside of school. They're pulled in 100 different directions already.
and especially your ELP motivated
Yes.
kids who want to be involved and
Yes.
you're busy, so. Very cool. I don't know what time you guys need to go. Where we at?
7:55.
Um,
Do you teach today?
I don't.
Oh.
I took the day off.
Oh, gotcha.
Some kindergartners are
Who knows?
no, they'll make it. I don't know, you guys did a really good job. I have questions that you answered with other answers, so I don't know, I just appreciate you guys doing this for me and.
I appreciate you becoming another take teacher.
Yes,
Spread
thank
the
you.
knowledge there.
That's the one thing too. When you say that, Carrie, it's interesting but granted, I got my undergrad teaching degree 30 years ago. But when they prepare teachers in college to become teachers, there's a whole class on being a special ed teacher with one chapter or maybe even one paragraph in the book about gifted ed, and it's like it would be so nice to morph that into like divergent learners or diverse learners or something, where the teacher learns about how to address this level and this level, not just the bottom level, because there's very little undergrad education on gifted students.
It's funny, I work with teachers who have all went to college and got the education, and one of my favorite quotes that I read was, every kid deserves to learn something new every day. And I'll say that to my coworkers, I'm like, yeah, I never really thought about that. I mean, you think you're there to teach, we're teaching everybody, but are you teaching those
And
higher kids something new
yeah.
every day?
And what I've, some things that I've learned from my teachers, co-teachers, particularly in the last couple of years with standards-based learning, we've met and talked and got to know each other so much better. They're pulled in so many directions to, not because it's dictated all the way from the top of the federal government that we have to bring the lower students up, which yes, that is a huge focus, but in the process, society has forgotten about these top kids. It's not just Forest City or Lake Mills or whatever. Every school district struggles with meeting that top tier because all of their resources are moving these ones up, which is not a bad thing, but you've got to find a happy medium to keep up with these guys.
So that is kind of cool to hear that from
It
a
is.
student that.
Which I think away too, because in math class, like the easy way is just like putting us in those higher level like math classes. Which that part's nice and easy, but then just the other classes, I don't know if moving us just like up in the classroom is always a good choice necessarily. More like if there was a way that you could still keep us within our grade level, just pushing. I don't know.
Yeah.
Because yeah.
Focus more on ethanol. Should a lot of people would think that.
Now, did you have Miss Acton for language, or did you have Mrs. Miller?
Miller.
Because they, since she's been here, every year she emails me at the beginning of the year wanting to know who the high readers are, because she wants to do something different with the high readers in freshman language than the other readers. And so I having a kid in that grade is a higher reader. I don't know if you guys have, she's done some cool projects. She loved the Shakespeare stuff, but I don't know if there's any differentiation as far as what novels they've read and things like that. But it's nice that a teacher asks.
Yeah.
Yeah, because
Yeah,
nobody
they're
ever has
thinking about
before.
it
Yeah.
and wanting to do something for those
Mm-hmm.
kids.
Yeah.
It is kind of funny because once you get to once I got into high school, I really felt like leveled out with my classmates. So I don't know if that's where the teaching just really stopped being focused on higher level or something, but
Leveled out like they caught up with you, or leveled out like you were
Kinda.
treated as everyone
I
else
think
was?
it's both.
Yeah.
But in the classroom, I don't know, all of a sudden I just felt like I'm not at that higher level anymore. I don't know, grade wise and stuff. There's some kids who would be excelling more in one classroom or something where because I'd had all these years of tag and doing more or whatever. I don't know. It kind of hit me what am I doing wrong, or what am I not learning, or I don't know. I definitely felt that way in high school.
I never thought about that.
I don't know what changed, but yeah, the minute freshman year started, I was like, oh. Anyone else? No. I don't know. Yeah, there's some kids where you're like, where'd you come from?
Did you ever have different kids come in that maybe weren't in tag and then
A
joined
few
later?
joined, yeah.
Okay.
And it's with the way our identification works here, it is, the majority of it teacher recommendations. So there are some kids that were never referred by their classroom teachers because of behaviors or because they were the quiet, sit back and not put themselves out there students, and
That maybe our gifted kids just never were identified, so.
Yeah.
I think that's a big factor too. Kids don't want to be the smart kid. They don't want to be stereotyped as a smart kid. So
I
they-
want to.
yeah, but there's some people that don't, so they don't use their full potential when doing something. They know how to do it. They do it easily. They just don't show the teacher that.
And that's another thing too. When Carrie said, "Where have these kids come from?" as far as grades go, and that's something that I try to reiterate to my middle school kids all the time and upper elementary is things have always been easy for you, and you haven't learned how to work hard. And there's other kids that have had to work hard
Yes.
to do well, so their work ethic is still driving them in high school. Where a lot of the gifted kids who haven't had to work hard, that's part of the thing with picking your own project and stuff that I've tried to do with the kids is teaching them to be autonomous learners so they know how to push themselves because they never had to in the traditional classroom.
It just comes easy
I'm not
and
sure
so
that
you
is,
know,
I'm
have
not
to-
sure that works as, but it's got to be an internal drive to work hard. And you've got 4 kids here that have always worked hard, but there are some that
They have the potential.
they have the
don't
potential. You look at their Iowa assessment scores, 99s across the board, yet they get C's or 2s or 3s in class because they're they're always on the late list and things like that because it's
So they have some of that, the potential, but just not the other gifted in the
the work ethic area.
motivation, work ethic.
Which in that work ethic will get you a whole lot further in life
Exactly.
than innate IQ.
As a teacher, that would be super hard to know how to push a kid like that because then you have the parents and still other students who are like, I still need to be graded the same way. I should still get treated on the same level, but if you're going to be graded and taught, it's you can't do that then, Yeah, that'd be really hard as a teacher to know where to do that at.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's hard, but it's cool at the same time. Teachers, I don't think ever stop learning
True.
either because they're constantly every day they got to do something new to fix something.
Figure out those kids and those situations. Where we have to use our work ethic and our motivation.
Yeah, that's one of the things probably that these guys will all say is just based on anything they've worked with me is, Mrs. Reese really taught us how to procrastinate but work well under pressure.
True. Invent Iowa.